everybody. Welcome to today's episode of CoffeeNOW. My name is Tomasz. I'll be talking to you today a little bit around the low-code in ServiceNow. Maybe a few words of a background about myself. I've been working with ServiceNow for a little more than 8 years now, mainly as technical architect slash technical consultant slash architect. Been working on a lot of projects. Recently, this topic is literally popping up everywhere. Low-code, citizen development, all around that. So I thought, why not have a session on this? So I do hope you will enjoy today's session. Of course, feel free to put any comments you might have out there via YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever we are streaming right now. Don't be shy. Let's discuss whatever questions you might have. And yeah, let's just enjoy the ride, everybody. So waiting for the presentation to begin. And we're gonna start this discussion with a little bit of okay, there we go. Status quo. So that's the first thing we'd like to discuss. Let me just double check if I can change the slides from here. Not sure that I can actually. So okay, we might need to kind of go to the next slide now. Okay, thank you. So I have a little Santa's helper that's going to be helping me changing the slides. Apparently, I thought I can do it myself, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. So yeah, let's discuss the status quo. Why are we even discussing this? Why are a lot of companies really investigating the possibility of sharing the creative power with some of their business users, right? I mean, the situation is pretty clear. We don't have enough pro-code developers on the market. The resources are really, not enough for whatever demand is out there. And I've recently read a statement by Gartner that said I think by 2026, up to 80% of any low-code platforms are gonna be used by business users, by non-IT professionals. So that's really saying something about how fast that area of the industry is growing. And obviously the companies cannot wait. The business users cannot wait because the market is transforming all the time. Companies have a lot of needs for new applications, for new features, for new automations. They need to be in control of the process. They need to provide better value. They need to provide a better service to their stakeholders, and they cannot wait until that specific, IT developer becomes available to take on the task. So, yeah, the companies have been asking themselves questions like, okay, how do we move forward from here? And obviously, the market has been evolving to respond to that, and we over the last 10 or more years, even, we've been seeing the emergence of so-called low-code platforms as a result of that, right? So yeah, let's go to the next one. So yeah, the companies may be facing two kinds of situations really, which are pivotal for this need to change. Either the companies, organizations, they do not have a dedicated workflow. So if you find yourself working a lot using Outlook and Excel combination, that's a signature sign that you may be needing a proper tool to handle your workflows, I would say. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong about using the application like Excel and Outlook, but they are not meant to be the kind of applications that drive the whole process. They are great at what they do, sending emails and performing some calculations, but it's still a very manual task, and it's not the most efficient way to handle the process. So it may be the companies that don't have dedicated workflow tools, or also the companies that have a lot of legacy systems, legacy technologies. They may be feeling like they're lagging behind a little bit. So let's talk about what's the risk of using legacy tools, legacy applications, just like we can see here on this slide. First of all, if you're using legacy tools, you've got the definitely a big infrastructure cost to maintain and support all the different technologies that those applications or those processes may be running on. With that, of course, we have the technology sprawl. So there can be a lot of legacy technologies that no one knows how to properly support anymore. I still sometimes talk to companies, and it appears that they have applications written in C or some Fortran or COBOL or something like this, and it's not really simple to even support those technologies anymore. So you may be facing that kind of technology sprawl. As a natural consequence of not being able to handle the business demand quickly and effectively, what sometimes happens in those companies is the emergence of so-called shadow IT. So what we call shadow IT is when people take matters in their own hands. I mean, outside of the official channels, right? Outside of the IT department. So you'll have people just trying to, cobble together some workaround solutions for them, and that kind of grows exponentially, and without control, it can lead to a lot of issues like lack of maintainability and security issues, security breaches, and it's also not easy to mitigate that, because to rewrite those legacy applications, sometimes it might take a lot of time and effort to actually analyze and do that. So it's very important that we can migrate some of those functionalities easily, and preferably, not even having to resort to very scarce pro IT resources if we can. All right. So moving to the next aspect is that's the big question, everybody. How can we innovate and transform? How do we go from there? So the companies ask themselves the questions about what kind of platform should I choose to be the one where I'm going to centralize my process handling, and what's the platform that allows me to automate work in the best possible way? What approach should I take with this? Because it's not only about the tool, it's not only about the platform, it's about people most of all. It's about the process of the change that really matters, right? So what could be the answer to that? And in this case, I would like to propose ServiceNow's AppEngine, which is a part of creator workflows, as a solution to a lot of your automation and extension needs. Creator workflows is a part of ServiceNow that's been developed fairly recently. Actually, we have two offerings within that creator workflow part. One is called AppEngine, the other is Automation Engine. They work very closely together. Automation Engine is also a little bit more around RPA, robotic process automation, creating those attended or unattended robots, working with document intelligence, understanding various kinds of documents, being able to read them into the system. That's something that we will leave probably for later. We're not really focused on that part today, but I'd like to focus on the actual AppEngine part, because that's the part that if you're thinking about creating some low-code applications in ServiceNow and allowing your business-powered users to take part in that process of creation of new value, then this is the place in the platform that definitely you want to focus on. So AppEngine it is. Why is AppEngine such a good choice? It's because of the let's say uniqueness of this offering, that for me it ticks all the boxes of a successful and robust local development platform. So first of all, obviously we have a lot of automation tools available to us, and those are part of the platform itself very often. So you'll have things like virtual agent for creating automated conversations with the chatbot, for example. You've got Flow Designer for creating flows out of reusable actions. You've got those RPA, those robots that I mentioned. You can create your own business logic, smaller bits and pieces of business logic that will drive and automate just parts of the process. The user clicks something on the form, something happens in the background as a result. So it's very easy to set up that kind of automation. AppEngine allows you to use reusable components as well, again, because it's built on the power of the ServiceNow platform. So you will have things like templates for new applications that you can prepare for your business users. And using AppEngine Studio, they can then start working with those templates to have a backbone of the application they are supposed to create. So if for example, if you see your business users in the need of creating a lot of, let's say, approval-based applications that are meant to be approving some kind of a ticket, you can just create a template for that kind of app, and they can just tweak around it a little bit, just here and there, change something, and there you go. They will have their own version of that application. The next thing is integrations and RPA. So obviously integrations is something that's absolutely critical in today's world. There isn't anymore a case where a system can perform end-to-end process as a standalone. So ServiceNow needs to integrate with a lot of other tools, and quite often ServiceNow can become the orchestrator of those activities. Again, using Integration Hub components. Integration Hub is the part of the platform that provides you with reusable spokes, connectors to other systems, and ServiceNow with its flow power, can be the sort of orchestrator behind that. You have the AI component, of course. You have the virtual agent, which can be combined with predictive intelligence, and most recently coming in well, actually already there in the Vancouver version, the generative AI capabilities via Now Assist. That can allow you to handle and drive some conversations with your users, can allow you to summarize maybe the history of the ticket in a nice way. So there's a lot of cool use cases where that can be used. And also the AppEngine is, for me, it's like the single platform where I see the seamless integration of low code with the pro code capabilities. So you can, for example, have one application where it's going to start as a low code app being built and envisioned by your business users, and then as soon as more complex features need to be built, you can use the pro code features of ServiceNow. Completely other team can take over or enhance this application using pro code tools, and it's still the same kind of app. It's still going to be going through the same kind of pipeline from dev to QA to production. So I haven't really seen any other platform that merges those two worlds, low code, pro code, in a seamless way, and I think that's a big power behind AppEngine. Right, so the backbone of, let's say, local development in ServiceNow is going to be this AppEngine Studio feature. Now, as long as you are subscribed to AppEngine, you can just grab this application from the ServiceNow store and install it, okay? But don't hold me to my word on this. I always say it's always best to consult your sales professionals to be on the safe side, but I think as long as you have AppEngine, you should be good in just installing the AppEngine Studio. It needs to be installed from the ServiceNow store because it's an application delivered as a store app. So what you will find within this AppEngine Studio is those application templates that I mentioned. For example, for handling expenses, time off, some ticket approval, and so on and so on. You can also create your own templates that can be reused by local people. You can also start building the application from scratch, of course. There's a lot of other useful tools, like, for example, Table Builder, that allows you to quickly, from a single UI, just create the table with all the fields, all the choices. You no longer need to switch between many tables to create the table field and then the choices for that specific field. It's like all in one view, all in one UI, which is really great. There's also Mobile App Builder, because obviously more and more processes are being handled via mobile devices. So ServiceNow also provides that seamless integration of the native mobile applications into your AppEngine using a mobile application builder. Security is being handled natively, of course, using access controls. You can also create your own experiences, and those can be either super simple or also complex depending on your needs. So, for example, you can resort to Workspace for a kind of internal experience. You can create service portal-based experiences for the end user. You can create all kinds of really cool experiences in AppEngine. Right. So the next thing that I think it would be good to comment on is okay. So let's move to the next one. Who can participate in that creation of low-code applications on the ServiceNow platform? And again, this is an offering that allows you to seamlessly merge low-code with pro-code. So as we can see here on this little chart, let's say on this little graph, on the left-hand side of this, we have the business users, we have the low-code users. There's a lot of them in the company. They have a lot of creative ideas, and as a natural part of the low-code undertaking, you will have a so-called champions emerging. Those will be the people from specific branches of your industry, from specific departments, who will take on themselves the role of carrying the torch of low-code and also enabling other users in that department. So over time, you will have more and more power users appearing that are a little bit more technically inclined, and they will focus on no-code, low-code kind of applications. And then, of course, on the right-hand side of this spectrum, we have the typical either business developers or enterprise developers. And depending on everybody's role in the company, everybody can contribute to creating new content, new value in a slightly different way. So obviously, end users, business stakeholders, they're not going to be full-time involved with creating applications. There might be a case that they will just jump in on a specific project, create a bit of an application, and then move back to their business activities. Whereas the full-time IT professionals, they will be more focusing on strategic projects, on the strategic solutions that will drive the entire enterprise forward, right? And because of this, everybody can work simultaneously on the part that they need most at this in that specific moment. So that's really great. Okay, and now is a question maybe to you. What do you think is really important to think about when approaching such a low-code or citizen development? So I wonder if any of our listeners have any sort of feedback on this, or what would be your best guess, or what would be your feeling? Like, what topics or what aspects are really important when preparing to establish some kind of low-code center of excellence in your organization? I wonder if there's any let's say answers. Please put them in the chat if you have anything you think is really important not to miss at this point. I'll be very keen and interested in hearing your opinion. But not to also wait for too long. This very question has been asked on this year's Knowledge Conference, and here you can see the word map of what people have raised as the biggest challenges or the most important aspects of working with low-code. So as you can see, the governance, training, help, guardrails, these are the kind of aspects that people think about most when they hear low-code. We are about to establish low-code in our organization. And the governance seems to be most important of all of them for your company. Because let's face it, without governance, you're going to be creating what I like to call, and this is shown on the next slide, I think it's what I like to call an IT coral reef. So this thing looks really beautiful, it's really nice, there's a lot of stuff happening, you know, all the little fish are very happy, but it's something that just grows and grows over time, and it grows not in a very structured way. I mean, there's really no control over what's happening. So without governance, you will see your platform expanding, but not in a good way. This will be very hard to maintain. This will be very hard to sustain in the long run. So we need to adopt some governance, right? And how does ServiceNow, how does AppEngine help us with this sort of governance aspect? So here we can see it's built on, let's say, 3 pillars. The first pillar is enabling and empowering the business users. And that's happening via various awareness sessions, via various trainings that ServiceNow provides. You can find a lot of trainings for low-code on the Now Learning platform of ServiceNow. There is a dedicated citizen developer path containing the baseline trainings and some more advanced trainings. I'm sorry, I think my headset just switched off. I hope everybody can hear me still. So yeah, there's a lot of trainings provided out of the box. Obviously, you can enhance that with your custom trainings. You can seek out a partner that's going to guide you on setting up this kind of center of excellence. So it starts with enabling the people to even become local developers. It's not happening like this. It's not that some business user just thinks, oh, tomorrow I'm going to create my first app. They need a little bit more guidance than that. And they need some guardrails that are going to keep them on the right track so they don't, deviate too much from the safe path. And here is where the tools come into play. So how to equip the people with the right tools. And that's what we have in the middle here. So AppEngine allows you to create, or it gives you out of the box pretty much, a very robust application intake mechanism where people can create demand for new apps and you can just approve that demand. Then you can also create the various development teams. Maybe development is not the best choice of words because they don't have to be developers, but you can create implementer teams, so to say, within AppEngine and assign specific permissions to everybody. So maybe you'll say one person works on the UI, the other person works on the flow. The other person works on the security rules, and so on and so on. Depending on people's capabilities, you can create those very unique teams for every application. It's also very important to have those building blocks like analytics, various tools that enhance the creativity, the productivity, that allow you to create value faster. You need to have tools for automatically checking if that application is production ready. So here we're talking about the health scan, the automated testing framework that ServiceNow provides. So once the application has been built on dev, it can be migrated to QA. It can then be tested automatically and then released to production. All of that pipeline is also part of the AppEngine offering in ServiceNow. And then finally, you have the control. You've got the AppEngine Management Center that provides you an overview of all the demands, all the applications being currently developed, which applications are ready to be reviewed and migrated to the next environment, and so on and so on. So all of that comes as a single cohesive package. So let's focus on this governance a little bit more. What are the important aspects? First thing that's very often overlooked is you need to have support of your key sponsors, of your key business stakeholders. Without that, it's going to be hard to invest all the resources that need to be there in the building of that center of excellence. That was the first thing. The next thing is deciding on the level of governance, and that will be dependent on the complexity and the type of the application that's being built. So you can have, for example, light management, where it's enough to just have a power user or this kind of a champion that I mentioned before, just overseeing what business people are putting together as a low complexity, low code business app. Then you can have a hybrid technical management where champions and also technical architects work together. So the technical architects and a more central platform governance provide some input, but they don't have to be involved like the whole time. So there is a dialogue between the business, power users, and more IT-based technical architects and people who oversee that whole process. And then finally, we can have a full-on technical management where it even needs to be approved by the central platform governance, because maybe that application is going to touch a lot of key areas of your entire platform, like handling the users or handling integration with other systems and so on. So maybe that kind of app really requires a full-on technical governance. Another important aspect is the guardrails for your business users. So consider creating low-code in a separate instance, in a dedicated citizen dev instance. Always use this delegated development, not to allow everybody to touch any aspect of the platform. Just keep in mind what people are good at and what should they be allowed to touch, and use those permissions that allow you to control this. Think about table inheritance. I mean, you don't want somebody to just create a fully custom table, for example, that doesn't extend the task table of ServiceNow, and then 1 month later, They may come to you and they may say, oh, now we would like to add SLAs to our process, but oh, that ship has sailed because you have created a completely custom table that doesn't extend task. So it's not going to be easy having SLAs attached to that. So always think about table inheritance. And here is where your business users may need some guidance at the beginning, definitely, right? And always work in a scoped application. That's also very important. And then I think finally, you need to ask yourself those questions for every application. What's the criticality of that app? Like, how much does it need to be supported afterwards? How secure does the data in this application need to be? Do we have any sensitive data as part of that app? Yeah, the usability, of course. What kind of additional access enablements you need to have? Are people with impairments going to use your application? Is it going to be ergonomic for your users? What kind of user experience is going to go with that? Of course, complexity, how many tables, how big this app generally is. This can also drive the decision, is it a low or a pro-code application? How many users will be the user base of this app? Is it just for 5 users being one team maybe? Or is this an application that the whole of company can benefit from? So those are all important questions that need to be asked. And all of that is supported, all of that kind of governance and overview is handled by using this AppEngine Management Center. That's, of course, part of the package of AppEngine. So here you have the intake, you have the collaboration, you've got the pipeline connecting your environments. You can overview your custom app usage. You can check which departments are the champions of using low-code apps, which departments create the most of them, and so on. So you do see that kind of bird's eye overview of AppEngine in your instance by using this management center. So a few words on the pipeline still. I see we are slowly running out of time, but yeah, I'll just be quick about this. So how does it work, basically? Let's say we have the typical pipeline, dev, QA, production. On production, that's the first step. On production, so we can go to the next one. On production, people are going to be submitting the application ideas and collaboration requests. So somebody can say, oh, I would like to be part of that specific application development. Can you include me in that team? And as an admin, you can approve that. You can approve the application idea and you can provision the users. So then what's going to happen on the development instance, all those roles, all those permissions will already be set up automatically. It's happening via this pipeline. So on the dev environment, people are going to start building this application using, let's say, mostly low code, sometimes pro code. Once they are ready, they will submit this application for an IT review, and then it needs to go through an IT review. And when an admin says it's ready to be migrated, it's going to then go into the QA environment. In this QA environment, you can run automated tests, again, health scan, ATF, whatever you might want to run. And then it's still going to be reviewed by an admin before it goes into production. So once it's migrated into production, of course, people can enjoy working on this application. So this is at a very low level, let's say. Now, moving a little bit further away to a high level, how should you approach creating, applications, managing all that kind of demand? Because there will not be a single application that should be developed. You will have tons of applications, tens, maybe hundreds emerging over time, and they're going to be sitting in your pipeline. So it's very important to understand that no application is really standalone. Every application needs to be assessed, and this is the first part. This is the intake, governance, security, and compliance. Every application needs to be assessed in the context of the entire platform. How does it affect other parts of the system? How does it affect other applications? Does it need to use the same kind of data as other applications in the system, and so on? So once that has been established, once we have that initial understanding and the application has been greenlit for development, you then build your dedicated team, as we can see. There will be some more detailed workshops, maybe more detailed analysis happening at that time. However, when we think about low-code business apps, it's quite often that the business will already come with like their own vision, with a set of features or a backlog of what they might want to deliver. And then we enter that continuous development cycle. It's very important to treat a low-code application same way as any other app. So you should be working in an agile way, obviously, working in development cycles until you are finally ready with that MVP, minimum viable product, before go live. So in my opinion, it's really important to focus on an MVP based approach. Do not try to create super complex process at once. Take it slowly and start small. Start with 1, 2, 3 use cases maybe. And I think that's going to be also mentioned on the next slide. Yes, so how do we approach that? It starts with building the framework. So make sure you have some tools in place that allow you to govern this process. Make sure you have the necessary people on board. Okay, we have a question. What's the best practice to introduce new version of same app? Right. So when we are working with applications in ServiceNow, I would say both low code or pro code. I think the good approach is to use application versions and to use application repository for migrating those applications. Now, if you use the AppEngine Studio, that's sort of handled automatically for you, because anytime an application version is ready to be reviewed by an admin, anytime it's promoted to QA, then the new version of that app is going to be promoted to QA. If we are talking about pro code, when we work with the typical studio, then still I would say you can still leverage the application repository and create your versions of the applications and then migrate to the upper environment. No, and of course you mentioned how do you introduce it to the end users, right? So with every application, there comes the part that nobody likes. It's super important, is the documentation part and the OCM, the organizational change management. So you should plan for that as soon as that application is greenlit to be developed. Basically, you should think about how are we going to introduce this? What kind of maybe campaign for our department or for the whole company we should prepare, introducing this application. Then there should be documentation. As part of the docs, I would usually see some technical, specification that allows people to properly manage and support this application. But even maybe more important than that, there should be business user guides on how to use this application, how to gain most value out of it. So I would see those things, coming together. I hope that answers the question. We can still talk about this some more via the comments after the session. So building the framework is the first part. Then you should decide on the level of governance for every application. Like we discussed, is it lightweight? Is it more hybrid approach? Does it need a full-on technical governance and continuous involvement of the platform governance team? And start with the pilot. This is super important. I cannot stress this enough. Don't go too big on this. Start with 1 to 3 use cases where you can see the natural champions, kind of, you will find those people in your organizations, in your departments. You will find people who have those ideas and who are willing to participate in this. So once you start with the pilot, you'll be able to identify use cases which are easy enough to be the starting point for this whole thing. And you will identify some key stakeholders for those departments. And once you have built the first application successfully, again, this should preferably be something simple. But what you can then do is you can evangelize to the rest of the company. You can share the success story across the company. And as you do that, you will see more and more people jumping on board, and they will start saying, oh, wow, this is so cool. This only took you like 1 week to develop or 2 weeks, and we want a similar kind of thing. So you'll start hearing this kind of feedback from across all of the other departments soon enough. And that low code pipeline is going to grow over time. So again, start small. This is super important. And then finally promote and empower the people. So evangelize, provide them with additional trainings. Quite often you will see people who start as a local business users, they will want to become a little bit more technical because it's very addictive to see, how easily you can create great value. So people who start as an ad hoc type of a business local developer, over time, they might really want to become that sort of a business line developer that supports the whole department in creating, low or low/pro code applications even. And very important, it's a continuous improvement cycle. the whole time. So do not try to implement everything at once, right? You don't even have to start with AppEngine Studio and Management Center and the application portfolio at once. Start small, maybe start just with AppEngine Studio, create your first application, 2, 3. Then you can add Management Center on top of that to provide even more, robust way of handling this. But it's always a continuous improvement cycle, making sure that this whole thing runs smoothly. Right, and that's pretty much it when it comes to high-level overview of how I think you can approach low-code and business application development in ServiceNow. Thank you very much for your attention. I do hope you enjoyed this session. If you do have some other questions or anything pops up, because there was a lot of things to discuss and maybe not enough time to ask those questions, make sure to put them in the chat. And I'm going to make sure to not leave any question unanswered. So again, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I would like to invite you to the next session of CoffeeNOW that's going to happen pretty soon already.